Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Dzkan Toys. Hope all of you guys are doing well. Here on my channel, I do reviews and share my thoughts on some of my favorite toy releases. Anyways, today we have the Figma 457 by Max Factory to unbox, and it is the character of UMP 45. Let's check out the box art and get it unboxed soon. Here we have our Figma UMP 45 unboxed. A little bit of information on today's figure and also the company. The company is Figma, and I have explained to you guys before in my previous videos about Figma that they're a line produced by Max Factory and distributed by Good Smile Company. The product series is developed by the CEO of Max Factory, known as Max Watanabe, as well as Masaki Aspie. They usually focus on creating highly articulated, hand-sized figures with a focus on popular anime characters. Moving on to the background information about today's character, UMP45. So she's actually based on a character in the mobile game known as Girls Frontline. Girls Frontline is a mobile strategy role-playing game for Android and iOS, developed by China-based studio MICA. Basically, in the game, players get to control in-universe characters known as T-Dolls, each of which actually represents a real-life weapon. In the case of UMP45, she represents, of course, the gun UMP45. I haven't played the game before, but I heard it's a very popular mobile game, so if you guys are interested, you guys can check it out. In terms of the aesthetics and the paint job, Max Factory did an excellent job on this release of the UMP45 Figma. First of all, I would like to mention, in terms of aesthetics, I'm a big fan of the design of the UMP45 Figma. Although I personally did not play the game Girls Frontline before, I'm really in love with the color theme and the design of this character. Upon close inspection, you guys can see she is wearing a school uniform, and the color theme is black and yellow, and the yellow parts really pop on the figure. For the character herself, she is also very stylish, and there's many details on the hair and the face that gives the character an extra sense of personality. For example, when we take a closer look at the figure, I really like the details that they put on the face sculpt. It's not just a normal anime looking face, but instead they added an extra detail of the scars on the eye from the original design of the character. It gives the figure a menacing look. Another unique design point of this Figma that I really like is the hairstyle. We can see it's a very unique hairstyle with one strand on the right side, and extending to the back we have two pieces of wavy hairs. So overall, this anime style hair looks quite attractive and definitely is very stylish. Furthermore, the sense of fashion and style can be seen in this figure throughout her whole outfit. When looking at the upper body, she's wearing a very stylish jacket with a color combination of black and yellow. All of the designs, including the strap over here on the arm, really makes the figure pop. Looking from the side as well, even her accessory bags over here and on the other side, they made sure to sculpt them nicely, and we even have yellow lines over here that extends to the accessory bags. Moving down to her skirt as well, the skirt is not just one colored, but we actually have a yellow color extending to the bottom of the skirt over here with two buckle type of accessories over here that extends down to the legs. So all of the design factor in this figure really makes the figure unique and interesting to look at. Of course, the sense of high fashion also extends to the lower body. By looking at the shoe design, we also have the typical yellow and black color combination as we see from the rest of the figure. This way, the whole figure matches the color theme very nicely. Now, looking at the side of the leg design, we also have this extra piece of machinery. This is some sort of an exosuit, and it really adds and enhances to the overall figure design. We can tell that not only is the aesthetics very fashionable, but it can be practical and looks very futuristic. Here we have a closer look at the exosuit design of the leg part. The overall design looks mechanical and realistic enough to be something that we will actually see in some type of future warfare. I assume that it can help the person using this exosuit to have enhanced leg performance or some type of overall body performance. Now let's move on to the articulation of the Figma UMP 45. In terms of the head articulation, we have the 360 rotation, up and down, side to side. And what's really interesting about this one is we have a hair articulation over here, so we can rotate 360. It's on a ball joint for this strand of hair. Now at the back, we have the hair separated into two major pieces, which can go up and down, side to side. So similarly, for this piece, we have the same type of articulation. Okay, so this piece popped off. I'll explain this piece in just a bit. For the arm articulation, we can go up and down, rotate 360. Although when you rotate this arm up, it's a tiny bit hindered by the design of the hoodie jacket over here. As for elbow articulation, we have a bend like that. It's not a full 90, but it's decent enough for most poses. Now regarding the hands, we have a 360 rotation, and of course a wrist goes side to side or up and down depending on the angle. Now in terms of the waist, we don't really have an ab crunch over here, but you can move her forward a tiny bit and a tiny bit backwards as well. But the waist articulation is minimal for front and back. Side to side though, we do have an articulation rotation. In terms of the pockets or the accessory bags on the jackets, they are stable, which means you can't really rotate them. But something interesting that I found about this figure while playing around is for the jacket piece, you can actually pull it backwards because it's made out of rubber. So after pulling it backwards, we have a scene like this. So you can pose her more dynamically. And it also shows some cool design of the figure that was hiding at the back over here. So we can tell that her jacket over here actually extends like that to the back. This is very stylish design. Now we put the jacket back down. Moving on to the skirt over here is made out of rubber as well. So in terms of posing, when you lift up the leg, it has some sort of give. Now moving on to the legs, of course, we can move all the way back like that, all the way forwards. Knee bend, not full 90. And for the foot, we have an up and down. No toe pivot for this figure. And side to side is possible as well. So overall, the articulation is what we would expect from a Figma line figure. And of course, I forgot to mention about this piece that pops off easily. So this is part of the exo armor of the leg. I'm not sure if this piece was glued onto the figure during the factory production or not, but even if it falls off, it's no problem. It's just on a round peg and a rectangular peg. We can just peg it back on. But be careful when playing around, because when moving the legs up for this leg, this piece might hit this piece, which allows this piece to fall off more easier. But it's not too big of a problem because you can just plug it back on. Or if you really want to, I guess you can super glue this piece. Here we have all the accessories included with the Figma UMP 45. A lot of the times, Figma usually include a lot of accessories, but it seems like for this figure release, the accessories are minimal. What we have are extra hands, the weapon, and the typical bag and stand of the Figma. So for the hands, in more detail, I can show you guys. We have 2 holding hands, 2 open palms, 2 trigger hands, and lastly, 1 extra unique holding hand. This one is most likely for holding the gun barrel. Other than that, we have our UMP 45 weapon, the ammo clip, the gun barrel or slash silencer, and finally, extra piece of joint for the hand system in case one breaks or you lose one, typical with all Figma releases. We also have 2 extra pieces of face sculpt accessory. So the one we see in front of us is the one that's attached to the figure itself, right out of the box, a normal looking face. As for the alternative face, we have one with her looking towards the side. As for the third face sculpt, it actually looks quite similar to the one I previously shown you guys, except for this one, while looking at one direction, her mouth is closed instead. One major selling point of this Figma is most likely the fashionable design of the character, but other than that, the UMP-45 weapon must be the other selling point. So let's take a closer look at the details of the weapon accessory. I can tell that they took care with the design of this accessory and put a bit more thought and detail into it. So first of all, it's nicely sculpted. We can see there's a stock here in the front, which sadly we cannot remove. But for the stock at the back, we can actually fold it to the other side. So this way you can display the gun when it's not in use and fold it back when it is in use. Also for the ammo clip, we can plug it in just like that and take it out easily as well. So when looking at the ammo clip, extra details can be seen with a gold paint representing the ammos. Finally, we can also enhance the look by adding the gun barrel or silencer. Overall, the gun looks quite menacing in this state. While we're on the topic of the UMP-45 gun, I thought I'd share some information and facts about the gun to you guys. Although many of you guys who are actual gun enthusiasts may already know this, but after doing some research online, I learned that UMP is a submachine gun developed and manufactured by Heckler & Koch. The UMP is supposed to be a lighter and cheaper successor to the MP5 submachine gun, although both still remain in production. The UMP has been adopted by various agencies such as the US Customs and Border Protection since. It has a rate of fire of 600 to 700 RPM, a barrel length of around 8 inches, is a blowback, close bolt action type of gun. In terms of the paint job of the figure, overall it is quite good. Like modern Max Factory Figmas, they definitely improved in terms of their paint work and paint separation, but I have to say, some parts of the figure, if you look really closely, there might be minor paint defects and paint bleeding, but they're barely noticeable, so it doesn't really matter. But the one noticeable paint defect on my figure, it may be due to quality control. Let me just show you guys. For one of my faceplates, I'm not sure why, but the forehead seems to be a bit darker, so this might be a paint defect during application at the factory. I'm not sure how well this shows on camera, but clearly the bottom face is much lighter than the forehead. Although the good thing is, it doesn't really matter in the end because once you plug the hair in, it covers the forehead, so we don't really see this defect. I think it is a paint defect because for the other two faceplates, they don't have this problem. Now time for some size comparisons. I'm sure this one would be a very interesting one to you guys. If you guys are fans of guns, we have the Little Armory series, also from the Figma line. So we got two of them over here. Something really interesting to note about this one is that I thought they would be around the same size, but it seems that the UMP-45 Figma is actually taller than the Little Armory figures. So here we have some different line figures, which is Mayfex, John Wick. It looks like they scale pretty well together in terms of a male and a female. John is obviously taller, being the male over here. We have a Rebotech Kyoto Deathstroke. They look pretty good together as well. And finally, an SH Figure Arts line, Kaioken Goku. So they're actually around the same height, with Goku being a bit taller, of course. So the final note here is that it seems like UMP-45 is a little bit taller than the usual Figmas, which I'm a bit surprised over here. This means that she will scale better with other 112 lines, due to Figma usually being smaller than the typical 112 lines. Alright, final thoughts on the figure. Figma 457 UMP-45 is another welcomed addition in terms of the release of Figmas. Should you get this figure? Would I recommend this figure? Well, it really depends. If you're a fan of fashionable schoolgirls wielding guns, then I would recommend this figure to you guys. If you're a fan of the Little Armory series, which have a similar idea in terms of the design, then I would recommend this figure as well. Also, of course, if you're a fan of the game Girls Frontline, I'm sure you guys would want to get this figure. But other than that, if you're not a fan of the usual schoolgirl type of design, then I'd say this figure can be skippable. Additionally, compared to other Figma releases, it seems like the UMP 45 came with lesser accessory than usual, so some extra facial plates would have been appreciated, especially the ones that's included. For her expression, facial plates look quite similar to each other, so a more dramatic one would have been welcome. I wish we had another weapon as well to change and play around with, but that part is understandable due to the fact that the original character UMP-45 from the game Girls Frontline, she only used this weapon as well, so that's okay. Anyways, there goes the end of my review for today. Again, if you guys like the channel, please remember to support by subscribing and liking the video. I would really appreciate that. As always, please remember to stay young at heart, my friends. So until next time, we're out.